Section 1. This conversation is between two people, Tom and Mary, who are choosing radios, televisions and telephones in an electronics shop. Listen to the conversation and decide which of the items in the picture, A, B, C or D, they are going to buy. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. You will see that there is an example which has been done for you. The conversation relating to this will be played first.
Well, here we are. There's certainly plenty to choose from.
I'm finding it hard to know where to start. Would you like to look at the answering machines?
Let's start there. I like this one.
We have a lot to buy, Tom. We can't afford to pay $129 for an answering machine. And we can't afford to pay $127.50 for the dual tape answering machine either.
All right. We'll buy a cheaper one then. There's this one for $89, or the smaller one for $59.95.
I like the square shape of the small one. It'll fit neatly onto my desk.
And it's the cheapest. OK, we'll buy that one.
Tom and Mary choose the small square answering machine costing $59.95, the cheapest available, so letter B has been circled. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen because you will not hear the recording a second time. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Well, here we are. There's certainly plenty to choose from.
I'm finding it hard to know where to start. Would you like to look at the answering machines?
Let's start there. I like this one.
We have a lot to buy, Tom. We can't afford to pay $129 for an answering machine. And we can't afford to pay $127.50 for the dual tape answering machine either.
All right. We'll buy a cheaper one then. There's this one for $89, or the smaller one for $59.95.
I like the square shape of the small one. It'll fit neatly onto my desk.
And it's the cheapest. OK, we'll buy that one.
Good. Now we need to buy a telephone for the office.
I'd like to get a portable phone. You know, one of those cordless ones.
Are you sure?
I think it's a good idea. We don't need another telephone answering machine, so we can look for a small one.
I really like the one with the hinge in the middle.
A folding telephone. Yes, that's a good idea. So we'll take that one. Are you ready to look at the other things we need?
Yes. Let me look at the list. We need a couple of radios.
I want one I can listen to while I'm walking.
I know. They're just over here. I don't think you should buy the really cheap one.
You mean this one? $17 is a very good price.
That's true, but I believe they give a very bad sound quality. And what if you want to use a cassette? It doesn't have any space for a cassette.
You're right. Well, I really hate the ones where you have to put the small earphones into your ear.
Here's one with big earphones you put over your ears.
It's expensive.
It's only $20 more than the one with the little earphones. Take it.
OK. What's next?
We have to choose a television.
We need one which is big enough
but
to...
not too big. I don't want anything larger than 48 centimetres.
I really think 34 centimetres is too small for our room. That's only about 13.5 inches.
OK. Let's take the size bigger than 34 centimetres.
What about another radio?
How would you feel about a clock radio instead of just a radio?
I don't want a clock radio. I'm very fond of my alarm clock. But I like this radio with the curved carry handle.
So do I. It's a good price too. So, now we've chosen an answering machine, a cordless telephone, a radio for you to use when you go for a walk, another radio and a television.
Anything else?
No. Let's go and have a cup of coffee.
Tom and Mary go for their cup of coffee. Listen to their conversation and be ready to answer questions 5 to 10. Now listen to the conversation between Tom and Mary and answer questions 5 to 10. Write no more than 3 words for each answer.
Shopping's hard work.
I'm glad it's over.
Do you want to go home now?
Yes, I think I'll take the things we bought home.
OK. I'll go to the office. I've got lots to do. I'll come back later, straight from the office.
OK. I'd better hurry. My brother's waiting at the house to help carry the television in.
Good. I hope he'll still be there when I get home. I haven't seen your brother for ages. No, wait. I forgot to tell you. I'll be late home tonight. I've got a meeting at 5 o'clock.
When do you think it will end?
I'm not sure. Still, I should be home by 8. If I think I'll be later than 8 o'clock, I'll call you.
OK. It's nice now that your office is in City Square. You don't have to travel very far at all.
I certainly appreciate it. Taxi drivers always know where City Square is, too. By the way, are you going to watch People Are Funny on TV tonight?
What did you say? What TV show? Oh, People Are Funny. Of course I am. I'll tell you what happened when you get home. I need something to laugh at. I'm going to the new office at Newtown tomorrow, and I'm not looking forward to it.
I'd better go. Take care. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
That is the end of section 1. You now have some time to check your answers.
You will hear a Director of Student Administration from Mitchford University giving a talk on Open Day. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 17. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 17.
Hello to you all. Thank you for coming to Mitchford University's Open Day. My name is Jackie Alford, and I'm the Director of Student Administration. I must begin by passing on some late-breaking news. For the second year running, Mitchford University has been the winner of the prestigious Distance Education Award. As an online university, we are thrilled with this and thank our excellent staff for their dedicated work. We now add this trophy to our Research Excellence Award. The only one remaining is the Best Overall University, which we are expecting to be announced in the near future. Now, I want to cover a few aspects of what we offer our students from the student administration point of view. I would like to cover a few of the core things we deal with here at the university. Our office is always busy. Firstly, we handle all requests for on- and off-campus housing. First-year bachelor's degree students, we offer any and all assistance. If you're considering a postgraduate degree with us, which some of you coming to the area with families are, I've met some of you already, I think. Please be aware that due to staff constraints, we are only able to help international students. My department is also responsible for the collection of all student fees and, aside from exam week, we often assist with timetabling. Our department is in close contact with enrollment, so we know all your examination results. Student fees are used to help with the extracurricular activities here on campus. Each semester we put on a movie night, And last year we tried a music appreciation night which was well received. We often invite a number of local charities in the area to participate in our movie nights. This has been a good way for us to give back to some of the local people. Now, when you apply for a place at Mitchford University, your application package goes first to the registrar's office, where it is either accepted or rejected based upon your past academic record and test results. If you are accepted, it comes to the Student Administration Department, where we examine any special requests you may have included in your application. After that, a letter is sent to you informing you of your acceptance. The whole process takes about 3 to 4 weeks. Generally, if we receive applications by April or early May, students are notified of their acceptance in late June unless you make mistakes with your application, which is all too common.
Before listening to the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 18 to 20. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 18 to 20.
Yes, there are things we ask you not to do. Some people forget important information, believe it or not, and we get this most often. Some applicants forget to include a forwarding address. We can't send anything back to them. Another big one is forgetting to include past academic records. Hey, please don't forget them. We've had minor problems with people forgetting to include the processing fee, which stands at $45. Still others leave off the compulsory picture of themselves. Oh, yes, and perhaps the most common mistake people make is sending the application to the incorrect address. Please send the application to our post office box address. Okay, that's enough for me. Any questions?
That is the end of section 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers.
Now, turn to Section 3. Section 3. You will hear an interview about why conservation groups, such as Greenpeace, are interested in protecting whales. First, you will have 30 seconds to look at questions 23 to 31. Now, listen carefully and fill in the missing information in the summary below.
We hear a lot these days about whales and the need to protect them. But when did this interest start? Because people have been hunting whales for centuries, haven't they?
Yes, for at least 1,000 years. And there were no problems until this century, really. What happened was that fishing technology became much more efficient and the ships were much faster, so more and more whales were caught. In the 1960s, the main whaling countries were killing more than 60,000 whales a year, and I think everyone began to realize that something had to be done.
When did the killing begin to slow down?
It was quite a slow process, and it was the environmental groups like Greenpeace that really made things change. I mean, they set out to make people aware of the fact that whales were fast becoming extinct. But even now, we don't know if this interest has come too late. If you take the great blue whale, for example, which at 30 or 40 meters long is the biggest animal there has ever been, Now there are perhaps about 2,000 or so left. In fact, they have been protected for quite a long time, but there is still no sign that their population is growing.
Am I right in thinking that killing whales is against the law?
Yes. In fact, there was an international agreement to stop killing whales, but there are 3 countries which still catch whales, and they are Iceland, Norway, and Japan. In fact, under the international agreement, they're allowed to catch whales for scientific research, and they use this as an excuse to carry on as they did before.
What do they use the whale for?
In Japan, it's quite a popular kind of food, and it's very traditional. That is the end of section 3. You will have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turn to Section 4. Section 4. You will hear part of a research methods lecture. First you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this auxiliary lecture on research methods. This lecture is not aimed specifically at one particular course, but is a general lecture that will be relevant to any student who must conduct research into a topic for his or her course. For most of you, this will be the research that you need to do in order to write your dissertation and theses. It has been said that first world societies are no longer industrial societies, but information societies. That is, our major problems and tasks no longer mainly centre on the production of goods and services necessary for survival and comfort, but rather require a prompt and accurate flow of information on preferences, needs and behaviour. This is why surveys today are regarded with so much importance. What then is a survey? Today, the word survey is used most often to describe a method of gathering information from a sample of individuals. This way, the results can be projected from the sample to the larger population. An important consideration to take at the start is to decide how large a survey to perform. The sample size required for a survey partly depends on the statistical quality needed and the size of the total population of the area in question. Even so, there is no simple rule for sample size that can be used for all surveys. Analysts, though, often find that a moderate sample size is sufficient statistically and operationally. A properly selected sample of only 1,000 individuals can reflect various characteristics of the total population, but it is not always needed to sample the entire population for your needs. I'd like now to look at some of the types of survey available to us, and the focus here will be on methods for surveying individuals and companies. Mail, telephone interview, and in-person interview surveys are the most common ways for doing this. The latter can be in offices, homes, or on the street. Mail surveys can be relatively low in cost. A decent response rate, though, is the major problem. Mail surveys can be most effective when directed at particular groups, such as subscribers to a specialised magazine or members of a professional association. Telephone interviews are an efficient method of collecting some types of data and are being used increasingly. They lend themselves particularly well to situations where timeliness is a factor and the length of the survey is limited. For students such as you, though, cost will be an issue. In-person interviews in a respondent's home or office are good when complex information is to be collected. It could involve a great deal of travelling around, though. Street interviews could also be useful as they are easy, but the sampling is not very scientific. We also need to look at the content of our surveys. Surveys can focus on opinions and attitudes, or on factual characteristics, or behaviour. Many surveys combine types of question. Questions may be open-ended, such as, why do you feel that way? Or closed, such as, do you approve or disapprove? The questionnaire may be very brief, a few questions taking 5 minutes or fewer, or it can be quite long, requiring an hour or more of the respondent's time. Also, because changes in attitudes or behaviour cannot be reliably ascertained from a single interview, some surveys employ a panel design, in which the same respondents are interviewed on 2 or more occasions. There are also certain ethics to be looked at in conducting surveys. Some of you will see that the information that you will compile is of value to companies operating in that particular sector. Therefore, you must always bear in mind a few guidelines. Surveys should be carried out solely to develop statistical information about a subject. They should not be designed to produce predetermined results or as a ruse for marketing and similar activities. The industry standard for all reputable survey organisations is that individual respondents should never be identified in reporting survey findings. All of the survey's results should be presented in completely anonymous summaries, such as statistical tables and charts.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.